For generations, the annual scramble to the supermarkets for turkeys, cranberry sauce, and pumpkin pie has been celebrated in late November in recognition of Thanksgiving. Chief Historian Richard Pickering, the Deputy Executive Director for Plymouth Patuxent Museums, joins us now from Plymouth, Massachusetts, with the dramatic story of how the American holiday got started. Good morning to you, Richard.
Good morning to you. Thank you for having me.
Now, of course, now why is Plymouth, Massachusetts America's hometown?
Plymouth is New England's oldest town. It's also one of the oldest towns in our nation. And I think because of the association with Mayflower and Pilgrims, Wampanoag and Thanksgiving, people just have a feeling that they are coming home when they're here in Plymouth. There's something very warm and fuzzy about the town.
Now, why is history from those humble beginnings to today so important to our future?
I think it's important to recognize that the Thanksgiving that happened here in 1621, it was communities reaching towards one another. 52 English men, women, and children who had survived the first winter because half of the Mayflower passengers died. There were at least 90 Native men here, and we believe now Native families as well because the archaeology is showing how close they all lived. They couldn't speak to one another. Only a handful of Wampanoag men spoke English. The English didn't speak their language at all. But for 3 days, they feasted, they played sports, they offered military demonstrations, and they were supporting one another. Both had suffered greatly in the time before that fall of 1621, and I think we need to remember that it was people reaching towards one another in union.
So it sounds so emotional. So let's talk more about those emotions. How would you say is, Thanksgiving at Plymouth emotionally America's first Thanksgiving?
It was New Englanders that pushed the holiday out through the rest of the nation. And it was a New England woman that for decades petitioned American presidents to declare a national day of Thanksgiving. There are other events that happen long before Plymouth. There are Thanksgivings in Virginia, in Florida, in Texas, but no one knew of these until late 19th, early 20th century. There are native Thanksgivings. They did not influence the holiday, but the wonderful thing is the holiday is like a dining table that you always have an extra chair if someone comes along. So the history of the holiday is shaping and unfolding all of these American impulses for giving thanks. And I love the passion of people saying, we were the first, we were the first, we were the first, because it shows what this holiday means to us as Americans.
Now, you just mentioned the dining table, so let's talk. How is our turkey and pumpkin pie different than those of the past?
I would love it if I could see a pilgrim and her reaction to a giant farm-raised American turkey, because they, in the 17th century, were only accustomed to wildfowl, which they were smaller. The preparation would be very different. We're accustomed to that turkey having the centerpiece of the table being roasted and stuffed. In the 17th century, it was probably boiled, because think how hard it is to roast fowl on a spit, the labor that that takes.
Right.
So boiled, sliced, and then an onion sauce poured over it, and no pumpkin pie. There's no wheat in Plymouth for years. So the pumpkin that they're having was cubed, boiled very slowly, and as it begins to cook down, more cubes of pumpkin are put in, and that is cooked down. And then at the end, when it's all nice and soft, then butter was folded in along with spices. And that is the oldest recorded recipe in our nation. It was called New England's ancient standing dish.
Richard, now I am in the Thanksgiving spirit. Thank you so much for joining us today and giving us some history on Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
All right, to learn more about Plymouth Patuxent museums and the history of Thanksgiving, visit cplymouth.com.